Hey gorgeous, welcome to Happy Go Fabulous. I am so thrilled that you're here. This is our space where we get real about life, the good, the messy and all the juicy bits in between. Real talk, real life and a whole lot of delicious living. But I must warn you, listening may cause unexpected outbreaks of fabulousness and real life magic. Hi, I'm Catherine and I am so incredibly passionate about helping inspired, motivated, impact-driven, freedom-seeking people just like you to do the deep inner work to create those beautiful outer wonders in life. It's all about revolutionising your relationship with yourself, where you fall madly, deeply in love with who you are and create a life so fabulous you can't wait to jump out of bed every morning to live it. Ready? Because ordinary living is so last season. Life's waiting and it's time to make it fabulous. Let's shimmy on in. Hey gorgeous, how are you? I am in a funny old mood. Normally when I record podcasts, I have a topic will come to me. Like I have topics. There are so many different topics that I could talk about. And I really feel into them. And when I'm doing my solo episodes, it's more often than not about what's happening in my life and being able to share from that experience. And also thinking about what's the point? I don't like it just to be me talking about me, but that seems to be, one of the gifts that I have is being able to share from my experience. But hopefully pearls of wisdom sort of drop out of what I'm sharing and that there's some point to it. And that's certainly feedback that I have received from lots of my gorgeous listeners. So thank you very much for that. But this episode feels very different. It feels like I've sat for the last maybe about a month in all honesty going, what do I want to talk about on the podcast and what am I called to talk about and what are some of the topics that are going on for others in life that I could sort of share my experiences around that. And it just come up with this complete blank and that it was like, what? I really didn't feel like sharing anything. And that's kind of indicative of the mood that I've been in and what I've been experiencing. And just the last few days I've been called going, yep, I feel like I'm ready to record my next podcast episode. So I set the intention last night, and I've talked about this before in other episodes and I've shared on socials as well about setting nighttime intentions. So when I go to bed of an evening, if I'm going through something that I want some assistance with from my guidance team, I'll set that intention of the evening that I get some insight. So anyway, I did that last night, and this morning in the shower, it came up going, wow, we've been here in our beautiful sanctuary by the sea just on 12 months. So by the time this recording is posted, it'll be just over 12 months that we've been here. And I thought, that would be cool to talk about the reflections of the last 12 months. So that's what I'm going to share with you. I'm not exactly sure where it will go, but it will take us where it needs to take us. So come on that journey with me. I'm going to go back to just before us, a little bit of the lead up to us getting here, but then talk about that 12-month journey. So the lead up, and I've shared this on other podcast episodes. You can go back to the previous ones where I talked about manifesting this beautiful sanctuary by the sea. But I'll just dip back into sort of it'll put it into perspective. It'll put it into perspective of my 12-month journey. So I think it was around about November of 2023, that we went and saw our financial advisor just to sort of talk about some different options that we were going through. And we had said that we were planning on selling the house in 12 months' time to make the move to the coast. So sort of selling the house at the end of 2024, and then we would move here in 2025. And so that was November 2023. When we went to the financial advisor, he said, why are you waiting till the end of 2024 to sell? Why don't you sell now? And then, you'll sell your house, then you'll have cash and it'll be a real buyer's market. You'll be able to get something probably bigger bang for our buck than if we were sort of, I can't remember the specifics of it. But anyway, he planted this seed. He said, why aren't you going to sell now? We're just like, all the logistics, we're not ready to sell. Like, there's so much stuff in the house that we need to get through and do a whole lot of decluttering. And he said, yeah, they're just kind of really excuses. He said, financially, it would be good, beneficial for you to do it. And I'm just like, no way. There's no way we could do that. And I sat with it for, I don't know, I think it was only a couple of days. And when I say this was John and I, but my process of it was I sat with it going, what is really stopping me around that? And I just saw November to putting on the house in the new year, I saw that as a really big deal. Like all the stuff, the decluttering, and I've been through, I'm not going to go through all that again, and getting the house ready for market. And it seemed, there was stuff that needed to be done around the house so it could be present itself best for putting it on the market. But anyway, I sat with it going, yeah, I reckon we could do it. And so we had this holiday. We went to Bali just after New Year's in January 2024. So that was a beautiful family holiday, 2 weeks away there. And I had that really lovely kind of retreat time there. And when we came back, we went in to get the house ready to put it on the market. So January was just full on packing, decluttering, putting stuff in storage so we could present the house without all of our stuff. So January, and we put the house on the market on the 8th of March in 2024. So it took us those, a couple of months just to get it ready for putting it on the market. And we had engaged an agent in Canberra who was a good guy. And he said, you'll get such a good price for your place. It's in a really prime location. And it really was in prime location. The suburb that we lived in, we'd been there for 25 years. And we were close, I think there was 10 schools in close proximity. There was 4 of them in walking distance. There was playing fields around. There was nature. We were only 2 or 3 minute drive from the main shopping area. And there was and it was really easy to get into the main suburbs. Now it's a bit of a rabbit warren. It's kind of developed so much, but we're in a really prime location. And the house was old, it was an old house, but it was it had good solid bones. And we had done, bits and pieces to it over the years, but it certainly needed a little bit of, a little bit of zhuzh up. So we put it on the market on the 8th of March, and we had sold John's mum's place in Adelaide a couple of months before, and it sold within the first week. And we were kind of going, that agent that we had said, it's a bit of a funny market, it might be on for a while. And we said, well, we're not in any hurry to do that, but it sold within a week. And then we had an investment property that we were also selling, and it sold after the first open house, within a couple of hours. And we're just like, oh shit, maybe that was a bit too cheap. But it was a real buyer, it was a real seller's market for both of those houses. So our agent was saying, you will, it will go. I'll be really surprised if it doesn't go quickly. And he had the first open house he contacted us, and he had this whole strategy. And the reason we went with that agent was, it seemed like a really good strategy, and he was a good guy. And after the first open house, he said, oh yeah, people weren't that impressed with your house. We're just like, what the fuck? And he said, I had another open house on earlier that same day, just in a couple of suburbs over from that. And he said, it was just people loved it. They really loved that house, and it was great. We had heaps through, but nothing through your house. It was just, and I'm just like, number one, I don't know. It was just this whole, I remember that conversation, and it was I felt very let down, just the way he was saying, oh, the other house was fantastic, but no, yours wasn't. And so I went into this comparison trap around our house. And then, sorry, I'm just closing the blinds because it's getting glary in here. That's better. And then he had the next open house, which I think the first one was a weekday, kind of weird. Anyway, but that was part of his strategy. And the next one was on the weekend. And he said, there'll be heaps of people that'll come through. it'll be heaps. This is where we'll get lots and lots of interest. So not many people came through. And he said, no, there was no interest. He said, and just the way he spoke, I remember that conversation because I'm thinking he was going to call us and say, we've sold your house. It was almost like and I know that you can't promise any of that, and it's always this really weird market when you're selling, but I had built up this expectation that, number one lesson, I guess if you're taking anything away, don't put expectations on stuff because you let yourself down. Because the history is we'd sold 2 houses recently and they sold really, really quickly. And the one that we really, 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 really wanted to sell, it was just like you said, no interest in it. And just the way he spoke, I felt it was really dismissive and I felt very disheartened, really disheartened. I know exactly where we were. We were at a friend's place when we got the call. And I went outside to take that call going, oh my God, John, this is the agent. He's going to tell us that we got the place, that we sold the place. Went outside and it was just this really, I could tell in his voice. It was more how he said stuff and I could sense in him, it was really disappointing. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then the next couple of weeks he had, I think it was the next 2 weeks, same thing. He said, yeah, people are just not interested in it. And I'm like, what? You told us that this was going to go really quickly and it was all these positive things. And anyway, it was on the market. It was a bit of a deflated feeling because there was so much hanging on this for me about, this was funding our new sanctuary by the sea, that this was what was, dependent on what we got for our house was what we could then purchase at the coast. And it was a really big, and if it didn't sell, I'm like, what happens if it doesn't sell? And all this doomsday kind of predictions around stuff. So I was in that mood for a little bit. And then there was one morning before I was going to work, it was maybe 2 weeks later, and I had a full day of coaching with my corporate clients and my brother phoned me like early in the morning and I was literally about to walk out of the house and to get into the car. And I thought for a split second, I thought I won't answer that phone because I'll talk to him in the car. If I talk to him now, there's a few things I just needed to do. I'll wait till I get in the car and then I'll call him back on the way to work. But there was something that just went, nah, answer that. And I answered it and it was shit. It was shit. That's when he phoned and said that his daughter had died. And he was letting me know that his only child had suddenly passed away and unexpectedly out of the blue. And life kind of I can remember that exactly. I can remember that just so vividly. And we just stopped. I just stopped and I rang John and I rang the kids and John packed up from work. I let my clients, I just emailed them and I said, I'm so sorry, I can't come in today. I'll explain later. And they were completely cool, like so completely cool. And John and I just packed up the car and went up to be with my brother and his wife. And that's just the shock of it all, that life changed. And we went up on the Friday, and then the agent rang me on the Saturday after an open house. And I said, look, you know what? I don't just do your stuff and sell our house. That is the least of my concerns. That, life has just changed for our family and that's where I need to be right now. So do what you need to do to sell the place. He said, I actually said, I don't really even give a shit whether you sell it or not. It's just like, I just couldn't even fathom that us selling our home to move on to this beautiful stage of our life when my brother and his wife's lives and the rest of our lives had just changed so suddenly. And it was this real, I just went into crisis mode for the family. And you know what? I'm actually really, really good in an emotional crisis. And I was just, not to say that I was the only one, but I really, I guess, stood up for my brother and helped him with a lot of the logistics of this sudden passing of his daughter and, funeral arrangements and just life arrangements. And I was just there. Like, I'm good in an emotional crisis. I am not good in a physical. Like, if there's blood, do not let me be the person to be responsible for anything. Like, I remember way too many experiences. That there was one time that John, this is when we were in Canberra, that I could hear this muffling, and he's going, Henry, Henry. And it was kind of this calm, Henry, Henry, Henry. And Henry didn't respond. Like, Henry, he would have been, I don't know, in his mid-20s or something, early 20s, but he didn't respond. And I heard it going, what's happening? So I went out the front, and John just went, oh, shit. And I go, what? And he said, I wanted Henry to come, not you. He said, I've just cut my hand with the secateurs doing some gardening, and I need to get a cloth because it's bleeding really severely. And then I went into panic, and I ended up being I think I might have fainted or almost fainted. And he's just like, I did not want you here. And then Henry came out, and he's like, what's going on? And John said, God, now you have to look after your mother, but go get me a cloth so I can clean my hand, so then I can deal with her. And so that was one time. And there was another one when poor little Ellie, as a little toddler, had cut her hand on a spaghetti tin lid, and she'd cut her hand, and John was at work. And so I had to take her. I'm just like, oh my God, what do I even do with this? So I just I think I wrapped a nappy around her hand or something. And luckily the doctor was just up the road from us. And so I chucked her in the pram, and we went to the doctor. And when we were at the doctor, I fainted. So the doctor had to deal with me and poor Ellie's hands all bleeding and stuff. She ended up having stitches. And there was another time with the dog. I had to take the dog to the vet, and he had these really bad hot spots that were just these oozy, pussy blisters on him that just came up. And I had to take him to the vet, and I fainted there as well. So I am not the person that you want to have around, just in case, we go out for lunch sometime or we catch up for drinks and something happens. Don't let me be the one to deal with that. But if you're in an emotional crisis, I'm your girl. I'm the one that can help you through it. So anyway, we were there, and March was so the house had only been on the market for 2 weeks, I think, or less than 2 weeks. And it was just like, yeah, agent, do whatever you need to do. And we just need to be here as a family to just be together and to help each other through this. And what happened for me was I was good at helping in the logistics around that early stages, and the grief and the just getting counselling and a whole lot of things. I was good with that, but it really brought up for me that feeling I had after my mum died, that it was not okay to be happy, that, there was a whole lot of things. There was no counselling when my mum passed away. I was 12. It was in the 70s. And I probably didn't have any sort of counselling or support probably for 10 years after that, in all honesty. And there was a lot of what I took away, and I've shared this, a number of times, that I felt lost. I felt numb. I felt like I was just not doing life well, but I felt like it was not okay to be happy. It was not okay to be sad. It was not okay to sort of show your emotions, let alone understand what they were. But it was definitely not okay to be happy. It was almost like this living as a martyr. And it was really confusing. It was really confusing. But after my niece passed away, and we were, John and I were in the midst of our dream, our big grown-up dream. It was just like, it doesn't feel okay that we moving on to something really, really exciting in our life while my brother and his wife are in such pain. And it was that pattern that was repeating itself. And what I did after Mum passed away, and when I started doing some, of the healing work, was it was okay for me to be happy. And I did a lot of work. It wasn't just like, oh, click, it's okay for me to be happy. There was a lot of healing that went on with that. And I guess that's where my business, the Happiness Hive, was kind of born from, was about, I know what it was like to feel sad and grieving and numb and lost and confused and just shitty about life. And I did a lot of work, and I made a decision that I was going to be the best I could possibly be and live the most beautiful life that I could possibly live. And I have really devoted myself to doing that. And life has been wonderful. And have I been wonderful? I've been evolving. And I felt really, really good. And I did a lot of work around it. So my business, the Happiness Hive, was to help others through their versions of, moving to a life that they really love and enjoy and are excited about waking up about. And so I've done a lot of work around that. But when my niece passed away, it was kind of like I hadn't done any work. It took me right back to that same grieving of same but different. But it's not okay to be happy. It's not okay to enjoy this next phase of my life. And unconsciously I knew it was, but in my heart and in my body, I couldn't get to that point. And it really felt for me as though I had this seatbelt that was locked. And this is the analogy that keeps coming through for me. When you're in the car and your seatbelt locks and you're trying to unlock it, and the harder you try, the harder it kind of pins you. And it's like you can't move. You're trapped, you're pinned is the word. It's like I'm wanting to move forward. I'm wanting to enjoy this phase of my life, but the seatbelt had me pinned. And it was like, you can't. That I couldn't, no matter how I was, or the work I was doing, it was just like, no. And so I kind of felt like I was going through the motions, to be really honest with you. There was bits that I wasn't. So we've bought this beautiful, gorgeous house. So the house, let me go back a little bit, sorry, getting a little bit waffly. So the house sold March, April, the beginning of May, 8th of May, so 2 months. And in reality, that was pretty quick. Like here I am thinking, it didn't sell in the first open house, therefore we're not going to sell it. When I let go and just went, agent, you just sell the house, keep us posted, and it sold on the 8th of May, which was very, very cool. And that gave us, we knew then that we were, the amount, we didn't get as much as we had thought, but we still got a pretty good amount for the house. So that gave us a price point for what we could purchase at the coast, and we started looking for a property, and we found this gorgeous place. And I've talked about the process of that. I won't do the whole recap of that. But so when I said I felt numb and it was just going through the motions, there was bits that I definitely wasn't. I wasn't just going through the motions with this house. It was about, yes, this house feels awesome. It's like my head would come up for air and going, yep, I'm focused on the house, and then I would just retreat into the seatbelt would kind of pin me back again and going, no, it's not okay for you to really enjoy this, is the truth of it all. And when we moved here, as much as I did love, there were pockets that I absolutely, absolutely loved, there was this undercurrent of it's not okay for you to really, really enjoy this. And that's where I was doing a lot of work and healing around. And I know that the key points that came through for me was it's not this or that. It's not about being sad or happy or grieving or living your fullest life. It can be both. I can be sad and grieving and just going, what the fuck of life, while I'm also happy and excited and going, oh my God, I'm loving life. And I got that healing locked in really deeply for me. It's like, it doesn't have to be this and or that. It's this and that. And it was almost like giving myself permission. I didn't need permission from anybody else, but it was my own giving myself permission to hold that sadness and grief for what my brother and his wife and our family were all experiencing, to hold that deep, deep in my heart, but also to honour the dreams and goals and desires that John and I and our little fam bam had about this next phase of life, and to hold that in my heart alongside the grief. And when it was just like this and that, I could feel the seatbelt unlock. It was just like, oh, it was still attached, but it released. It released. And I remember talking to a girlfriend of mine, talking about surrendering and letting go. And I think surrender has been one of my big lifetime lessons. And I just said, I had no choice but to surrender into what was happening. And she said, you did have a choice. You had a choice that you could run around with your hair on fire. You had a choice that you could ignore what was happening. You had a choice you could crumble and fall, or you had a choice that you could, plow through it and, ignore your emotions. You chose surrendering. You chose to surrender, and to surrender into what I was experiencing, that I felt like it wasn't okay for me to be happy again. And I recognized that pattern repeating itself. And I was really, really kind to myself, really kind. And the beach has been such a beautiful healing place. I remember each walk that I would have along the beach at sunrise, and just the healing and the messages and how profound it was in my healing around, and the messages I were getting. Because part of the seatbelt was, I want to feel happy and enjoy where we are, but it's also about, I'm wanting to kind of move forward into the work that I had planned to do here. That's where the seatbelt was. It was just like, now's not the time, girlfriend. The status quo it's about going slow. It's about healing. And it was just about, don't force yourself, don't push yourself. Now is time to be kind and slow, and to really, really, really heal. And not just healing for my niece and my brother and my sister-in-law, but healing for all the parts of me that still required healing. So I spent a lot of time doing that. I was grateful that my base of corporate clients, they're just steady, they're beautiful clients. I work with them, in person and online, and there's a beautiful flow of corporate clients that I work with. So I continued that, and they were and that was, I was able to continue doing that, and then really settling in to this beautiful place. So that whole nesting of setting up the home was beautiful. There was a lot of stress of still some, decluttering, and there's other podcast episodes. I don't even feel like I want to talk about that anymore, in all honesty. So I feel that I've moved on from that, but there was a whole lot of decluttering, and it was also about getting to know this beautiful area that we're now living in. We discovered some gorgeous beaches, like little private beaches that are literally a 3-minute drive from our home. We got to know locals down here. I'm on the Residents Association, the committee. And I'd always said to John, if ever I put my hand up for a committee, you need to grab me and say no, because I felt like I had done a lot of committees when I was in Canberra, and they were good, but they took up a big space in my life. And I said to John, if ever I show signs of being on a committee, grab me. And anyway, I'm on a committee and I love it. I really, really love it. It's our Residents Association. And one of the things that I've been able to, I don't know if instigate is the right word, influence to have happening, is we have social gatherings that they're on each of the headlands. There's 3 main headlands in the little region that we live, and we have a gathering where the locals just come and bring a plate to share and just catch up. And when we were at our committee meeting the other night, one of the members said that that's been one of the really positive things for the last year, to have those social activities. And I feel that's my jam, is connecting and bringing people together. So that feels really lovely there. So getting to meet the locals and get to know the locals. I probably, in all honesty, haven't dived in quite as deeply as I had anticipated, given I felt very much needing the space to just reconnect back with me. So it's not like I've been a recluse or anything, but I haven't been as active as I had thought I would have been in getting to know people in beyond our local little community. But that feels completely fine as well. Like, it feels completely fine. My energy is very different. My energy is very grounded, maybe. I've brought a lot back to me. Like, I was in Canberra, I was busy. I was busy with my work, and my work cadence was kind of busy as well, the way that I was doing my work. Loved it, but it was busy. There was a lot. And I was very involved in the rowing club. I was the president of our rowing club for 6 years. And I also was member of different business groups as well. And I was busy. I was really, really busy. And in moving here, my energy is not busy. It feels very peaceful. My energy feels peaceful. The energy of our property is so amazingly peaceful. And I've shared with you before that I named the property Ananda, which is Sanskrit for bliss and joy. And it feels very blissful and peaceful here. And that's the energy that I am in. I feel like my seatbelt is still on. I have movement, but it's not undone yet. So the work that I'm doing a lot of more inner work for me, which feels beautiful. Like, it feels hugely liberating that I'm doing some more work on myself, like more layers of the onion are being peeled. And it really gets back to that commitment that I did make to myself, years and years and years ago, about being the very best version that I can be and living my best and most beautiful life that I can possibly live. And that doesn't mean that everything is sunshine and roses and unicorns, that it's about how I navigate all of the aspects of life. And I have said it's about living life to the fullest. And that's also, that's deeply emotional. And the emotions are not just the happy, positive, high vibe emotions. They're also those ones that are deep and dark and harrowing. And how do I navigate? How do I move through those? Because you can't have the light without the dark. You can't have the light without the shadow. So it's moving through those, and that's where I've been very much tussling with, this and that in the last 12 months. And I feel now that my head is coming above, and I'm feeling above water, and I'm feeling that the seatbelt, and it's up to me whether I can release that seatbelt. And it's a self-imposed restriction, I guess, but it's there. And the analogy is, it feels like it's loosening and it's almost ready to unlock. It feels like it's almost ready to unlock. And this last couple of weeks, I've just been going really, really, really deep into some layers of me that I haven't even experienced before. So I'm working through that, and I've kind of termed it my Queen of My Life activation, that I'm retreating and just really going deep into more of me. And there's been some beautiful insights that are coming out of that. And I'm also feeling a sense that I'm almost ready to be sort of on a work context, that the Happiness Hive here, to be introducing some more elements there. And they're still formulating. There's a couple of beautiful things that I've been working on. So I've still been working. It's just completely different to not this big whole show pony, tell you everything that I'm doing kind of work. It's just quiet. Quiet is my energy at the moment. Quiet and peaceful. And so I've been working on some beautiful resources, and there's one that you can purchase. Like, I'm just loving it so much. It's called Whispers, Nudges and Goosebumps. And it's about how you can access your intuition, because my intuition has played a huge part in this last 12 months, and not just this last 12 months, but it's been a key for me in this last 12 months, and really connecting with my higher self, connecting with my spiritual guidance team. And they have really helped me to heal and to grow through this time. And so I've put together this gorgeous, gorgeous resource called Whispers, Nudges and Goosebumps and it's super cheap. It's only $27. So you can access that, and the links will be in the show notes. And I'm also will be introducing a membership, again, just an accessible price membership, where I am going to catch up with you once a month online. And there'll probably, maybe down the track, there'll be some in-person elements of that. But the membership is called Spirit and Spark. And it is going to be about that kind of a different place to talk about spirituality, personal growth, living your best life, and that whole, just not the deep spiritual stuff, but just that how we incorporate spirituality into our everyday lives, because that's been a huge part for me. And a lot of people ask me questions about that are interested in different types of spirituality. So it's going to be a place for us just to really catch up and share experiences, learn and grow together. And so there'll be more information if you want to find out more about that and you're not on my email list. Jump onto my email list, and the links are in the show notes, and hop over to the Happiness Hive website, happiness-hive.com, and there are different ways that you can work with me there. But things will be same but different. The growth that I'm going through in this last 12 months has been incredibly healing. It has been incredibly painful. It has been incredibly uncomfortable. It has been incredibly peaceful. It has been incredibly rewarding. It has been incredible. This last 12 months has really shown me more of my strength. I feel like it's ripped me raw. It has completely ripped me raw. One of the things there that jumps out into my mind is part of living here is we have all of our nature buddies that come, and the kangaroos and the wallabies and the wildlife and the beautiful parrots that are part of our brekkie and supper club that come around. And it's just so incredibly nurturing to be with nature. And like the kangaroo this morning was up at our back door, and one of them, the little one that was hand raised by the previous owners, I'm wondering if they hand raised her inside, but the other day she was trying to get in our back door. It's just like, no, that's not how we do it. But we have nature right on our doorstep. And one of the things that was like, when I said I felt like I was ripped raw open, I'm not sure if that's a thing, but was when that same little kangaroo, Nellie, had her baby last year, and we called the baby little baby Boo, because it kept like peekaboo. It was peeking out of her pouch. And there was one day that, Nellie had this little baby Boo, and we saw Boo hopping around for the first time when it was didn't even have any fur, or only had just a little bit of fur on, and it got out of her pouch. And I don't know if it was the first time, but I'm saying it was the first time that it was hopping around. And we saw it sort of growing for a couple of months. And then one day she didn't have the little baby Boo with her, and the next day, and it was just like, oh my God, where is that baby gone? And I went into like a crazy woman thinking about, where is this little baby kangaroo that has gone missing? And I still don't know what happened to it. That's part of living in nature as well. But I cried and cried and cried and cried like I have never cried before. And it was such a release. But it was just, I even feel sad now about that little baby kangaroo. But it's not, it's the kangaroo, but it's what that represents. And so it has been a beautiful year, but it has been a fucking hard year too. So I just wanted to share with you, and I'm not even sure what those, if there are any pearls of wisdom for you in that. But for me, it's part of the journey of sharing from my experiences, and I feel different. I feel very different this year, and I actually feel a beautiful difference now. I can say that, and I think in saying that, I can feel that seatbelt is really starting to get ready to release itself. And that's part of the evolution, part of my evolution. And through my experiences, I really help others to navigate their experiences. And I've even noticed with my coaching and the programs that I've been doing with my clients are much more profound, and I'm helping them to get to much deeper layers than I have done previously. And I go deep with people pretty quickly, but it's amazing how much even deeper we go. So if you have your version of stuff going on, if you have your version of being trapped by your seatbelt and you would like some help to navigate that, that's what I do. Like I do it that's what I do. Like that's what I'm here on this lifetime to do. And through my own lived experience, but all the study that I've done as well, I can help you get through that, and probably more so than helping me get through my own. No, I can do that. Anyway, it'll be interesting listening back to that because I'm not quite sure what I said there. So love to you all, and keep being completely, absolutely fabulous, and we'll see where the next topic takes us. I do actually have a couple of guest interviews lined up, so we'll dive into those, but it'll be interesting where the next topic is. Okay, hugs and happiness. Bye, gorgeous. Hi again. I just wanted to pop back in. I signed off, but I then went and had a little walk around. There's a lot of other things that I didn't mention about this year. I was sort of focusing on a lot of the emotional stuff and that, the complexity of the emotions. But there's lots of really cool things that I've got to do this year. Like we've got an open fire, which I've never had before. My fascination with fire, oh my goodness. So I have become a firewood expert, and I'm really, really good at lighting that fire. I'm fascinated by the fire. And so I've used skills there, even about not so much chopping firewood, because we get somebody to do that, but the kindling and things. So I'm doing that. And I also made the labyrinth. I created the labyrinth, and that was huge. Like there's an episode, there's a complete episode on its own about that. So the labyrinth is really special, beautiful place here that I hang out just about every day, do a lap of the labyrinth. And I've learned to make sourdough. That was one of my goals, is to really learn to make good sourdough. And I did that. But guess what? We don't eat bread. So I was making this sourdough and John's going, oh. So that was a skill, but I'm doing lots of baking that I haven't done before. John bought me a little ride-on lawnmower that I think next job I would love to mow football fields. I just get so much satisfaction out of mowing. And I think doing a big, not little intricate stuff, that doesn't interest me at all, but doing a big football field, having to keep it in straight lines, that might be a little bit concerning, but that has been incredibly satisfying. And just also being out in nature, some of the, we had a blackout last night, and that's the first one that we've had here, but just that. I mean, we had heaps in Canberra, so that wasn't really a big deal, but it was just, I feel this year I have been exposed to some things and learning some new skills that I didn't have before, and they are very cool. So they were just the ones that sort of stood out for me just while I was doing a reflection. So I just wanted to end on that note, that there was more than just the emotional kind of side. There has been some really fun, exciting times that we have had here, and we're getting a little plunge pool put in the next couple of months for summer. So that's exciting. That's our next part that we're manifesting. So we're going through the whole town planning process about what you need to do to put the pool in, and just being here with John, like I'm excited. Every day I light the fire, I say to him, I wonder when the novelty will wear off, because this still feels really exciting. And when I go out to feed any of the animals, I just like, when's this novelty going to wear off? I hope it never does, because it is the awe and wonder of being here. So I have definitely, I think even saying that to you, I can feel that seatbelt about to unclick, that the awe and wonder of living in this beautiful sanctuary by the sea. I did the sound healing practitioner program. That was a 5-month accredited program. So I did that, which was a beautiful healing experience, but it was also really good for me to be able to add to my toolkit. And I've run full moon sound healings here at the property as well. So there has been a lot of other stuff going on. I just wanted to pop in and share that. So now I'll sign off. There'll probably be some other things that I think about as well, that I told you I didn't know where this podcast was going to go. So there'll probably be some other things that will pop in, but I'll leave it here. So keep being fabulous, and we'll see where the next episode takes us. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Happy Go Fabulous. I hope you loved it. If you did, could I ask a big favour? Please subscribe, leave a review, and most importantly, share the love and let your besties know about the podcast. This will help get it into the hearts and ears of all the gorgeous souls who need a little bit of fabulous in their life. If you'd like some more high vibe happiness in your life, come and visit me on my Happiness Hive socials, and make sure you've signed up to my newsletter, your weekly drop of juicy goodness. Pop over to my Happiness Hive website and click on the link Working with Catherine. I'd love to help you make life amazing. Until next time, keep being fabulous.